Hey everyone, and welcome to week 3 of our 52-week Excel series. If you have ever scrolled through a big spreadsheet and lost track of your headers or key info, this one's for you guys. So today we're talking about freeze panes in Excel, a simple but powerful feature that keeps your rows or columns visible no matter how far you scroll. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use freeze panes to stay organized, work faster, and avoid any spreadsheet frustrations. So let's jump in. Alright, so this is the spreadsheet that you guys see on the screen. We're going to be using this example and we will be looking through all the options, how you can freeze panes, how you can unfreeze. And first of all, before we get started, what is freeze panes? For those who don't know, freeze panes is a feature in Excel that locks specific rows or columns in place so they stay visible while the rest of your sheet scrolls. So whenever you're scrolling through a large data set, that's the right time you could use freeze panes, and that would help a lot in keeping track of all your headings, and doesn't matter if it's row headers or column headers. So now let's get into how you can start by using freeze panes. So right now on the Excel, as you can see, when I'm scrolling down, you'll see the headers where it says auto sales report and the year and each month of the year. And the numbers here, they represent which brand and which model, how many cars were sold in that specific month. So if you're, let's say if you're here to track something that's further down the spreadsheet and you just keep scrolling and then you find the car or the brand that you're looking for. Now you don't know which month is this sales from. So in that case, what you can do is there are a bunch of different options on freeze panes, and I'm going to show you all the options here, and then if you have any questions, just feel free to put them in comments. Okay, so now the very first option, where do you find freeze panes in the toolbar? So on the top menu bar here, by default your Excel sheet is always going to be on the home menu item, and then you can go to view. Just click on view, and on the right hand side you'll see an option that says freeze panes, and when you click on that, you'll see three options. The first one is freeze panes, the second one says freeze top row, and the last one that says freeze first column. So we'll start with the one in the middle. So we'll go and click on freeze top row, and as the name itself says, it's gonna freeze the top row. Now whenever you have any columns that are, like if you have frozen any columns or any rows, what you will see is a little bit of difference cosmetically on your spreadsheet, that this is going to be a bolded line here. And now when I keep scrolling down, you'll see on these row numbers, that row number 1 is always going to stay here. So that's how you can kind of freeze your top row. But again, in this specific case, I don't think this is going to help us, right? Because all the headers are further down. One row is using the year and the other rows are specific months. So in my case, what I can do is I'm gonna have to freeze a bunch of these rows here, all these rows. So how can I do that? So I'm gonna go back here to freeze panes, and whenever you are changing any freeze sections or freeze settings, just click on freeze panes and go unfreeze pane. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna unfreeze all the rows or columns that you tried to freeze before, and it doesn't mess up the view that you're looking at. So now whenever you want to freeze more than one row from the top of your sheet, so what you have to do is just select the row, and I will repeat this again. If you want to freeze all the way up till row number 4, in that case go ahead and select row number 5 and click on freeze panes and select freeze pane. So now again, what's going to happen is all the rows above the one that you had selected, those will be frozen. And now you can see when I scroll down the spreadsheet, we still have those month and the years. Now that is one great help when I'm scrolling through a big data sheet. But let's say we got more data on the right hand side. So when I scroll to the other side here, my models, they disappear from here. So one column stays, but the other column, the main column where I want to look at the models, this thing just keeps scrolling. So how can I manage, and how can I lock both the sides, the horizontal and the vertical side of the spreadsheet? So to do that, once again, I'm just going to go ahead and unfreeze the panes from here. And as you can see, everything is all good. We're doing the normal scrolling here. So one quick feature before we get into freezing horizontally and vertically, just simply click on freeze panes and then say freeze first column. So that's what we had by default here. When I scroll to the right, you'll see column number A, column A, that's gonna stay here because that's frozen. But we need not just one column, we need two columns here. So what you can do here is unfreeze the panes. Now if we want two columns, then I'm gonna select column C because I want these two columns to be frozen, and then I'll go ahead and I say freeze panes. So now if I scroll to the right, now I can see easily that if I want to look at the sales for any specific model for the past couple years, I can go ahead and I can look. But the problem here is when you're freezing more than one column, again, if you scroll down, it's gonna move those headers along with the whole spreadsheet. So that is, again, if you want two-way freezing, it doesn't help the rows or the columns. You want them all frozen all together. So now is the most important part. We'll go ahead and we'll unfreeze that again. Now let's say you have to freeze all of these rows and these two columns all together. So if you're scrolling left, right, up or down, these areas should always stay there on your spreadsheet. So for that, what you have to do is select the cell below the row that you want to be frozen and to the right of the column that you want to keep visible when you scroll. So in our case, that's going to be the first data cell that we have below the row and right beside the column that I want frozen. So I'll select this specific cell, just one cell, not the whole row or not the whole column. So I'll just select one specific cell and I'm going to go freeze pane and just select the very first option that says freeze pane. Just go ahead and click on that. Now you will see there are two dark lines here. There is one at the column B and there's one between row 4 and row 5. So now that's the magic. Now if I scroll down, you can see I can easily scroll down and my headers are staying. At the same time, if I scroll to the right, my columns also are visible all the time when I'm scrolling down or when I'm scrolling to the right or to the left. So that is a really helpful feature that you have from Excel, that you can freeze as many columns, as many rows you want, and depending on your workflow or depending on the criteria that you want frozen, you can easily play around with all these columns. I hope that was helpful, and yeah, that's everything. That's how you can play around with freeze panes. Once again, all your options to freeze panes are located under that view menu item here. By default, you're going to be on the home, and sometimes people do keep looking here in this toolbar and they often miss the actual menu headers. So if you click on view, you will see the option freeze panes easily, and when you click, depending on the criteria, if you have all your headers on the very first row, just click freeze top row. If not, then you have to select a specific cell and then arrange your visibility accordingly. Alright, so that's everything. Thanks for hanging out in week 3 of our Excel sessions. If this helped, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's episode. If you have any questions, like I said before, just put them in a comment and I'd love to help you out. All right, so see you guys next week for some more Excel magic, and thanks for watching again.